Eddie Hearn threatens to sue Chris Eubank Jr. over the sabotage claims during the press conference. And let me counterpunch. I think that, first off, I think that's rather petty from Eddie. Bars. Petty Eddie. Because Chris Eubank has done a lot already. You know, the first fight is pretty much the kickoff. You know, he set the standard for his animosity and his dislike, his disdain for Eddie Hearn, right? He's done that already. He showed us that he does not like Eddie. He shut Eddie down in every turn that Eddie tried to talk and maneuver his way to work his magic. He shut it down. And this fight was no different. Even when Eddie, and a lot of people have mixed feelings about this, shut him down when he was trying to mention Ricky Hatton, the late, great Ricky Hatton. And now Eddie wants to sue him. I think it's petty to the point where it raises a red flag to me when Eddie says, hey, I'm going to sue you, I'm going to do this, I'm going to do that, because it just shows me, and it should show everybody, that maybe, just maybe, Chris Eubank Jr. was able to get under your skin to the point of legal action. You know what I mean? He never supposed to give Chris Eubank Jr. that type of power, you know? And I think that's what it's showing us. It's showing us that Eddie can become unglued, which he was. He was totally out of line. You are a effing a-hole, okay? And you are real shite, okay? I mean, these things were coming from Eddie, and when have you seen or heard Eddie ever say that? Never. You never heard him that mad. Even when people were just coming at him with all types of other stuff, you never seen him that angry. And for him to go and threaten legal action is just his reaction or response to his dislike for what Chris Eubank Jr. said. And if I was Eddie, I would calm that down a bit. I would never allow Chris Eubank Jr. to have the satisfaction of getting me that unwounded. You know what I mean? And really, I don't think Chris cares. You know what I mean? Because based on what we learned about Chris Eubank Jr., his relationship with Frank Warren, his relationship with Eddie Hearn, he's already been sued. He's already been in those situations where those guys have sued him over something petty, over something that they might have, they shouldn't have done, right? But I do feel that this is a nice kickoff, regardless of how you call it, because Eddie's pissed off. And you're going to see more of Eddie. And if he does file legal action about sabotage and stuff like that, that just shows you how far he's willing to go to either try to muzzle Chris Eubank based on what he said. And it just shows you how much that he's affected by Chris Eubank Jr.'s words. And I would have to say advantage Eubank, because you should never get that mad to draw legal action. If you guys can remember the back and forth between Canelo and Oscar de la Hoya, which is a similar situation, Oscar did the same thing. You know what I mean? So, and everybody knows Oscar is kind of like 1 foot in, 1 foot over the fence when it comes to ungluedness and, becoming, relapsing or some shit like that. So you don't want to put yourself in a situation where you don't have control. You know what I mean? And I do think and I do feel that Eddie should withdraw from that, because if he does, it'll just show you how much that Chris Eubank Jr. and his words or accusations have a hold on him. You know what I mean? If you know you didn't do any of those things, you should just be like, that's absolute bollocks. We didn't do anything of the sort. He's a liar, and prove that he's a liar. If you want to push legal action, you're trying too hard to prove yourself right, and that's not the right approach, I don't feel. You know what I mean? I don't think that that's the right way you want to handle a fight with your fighter versus the opposite fighter. You're trying to sue the opposite fighter. So you got to ask yourself, well, who is the war against? Is it against Conor Benn or is it against Eddie Hearn? You know what I mean? But you guys tell me what you think of Eddie threatening to sue Chris Eubank Jr. for lying on him for sabotage after the first fight. Of course, please subscribe. And you guys been Counterpunch. Peace.